I'm Hannah, Head of Secondary Music at NLCS Singapore, and I'm going to give you a little tour of my department. So this corridor is the majority of our practice rooms. They're very small practice rooms, and it's where all of our instrumental teachers work. We've got 9 visiting teachers, so piano, voice, violin, drums, saxophone, woodwind, guitar, bass, everything. Supposedly soundproof with all this foam on the wall and these thick doors, but I know the drums, you can hear that coming down, so it's not completely soundproof. It's all on one corridor. We do have one room down in the first school for the really young students, but everyone, junior and senior, have their lessons up here. So we've got 4 more practice rooms down here, and we tend to use these for breakout rooms from the classrooms. We've got our first junior music room. We actually only gained this room last year. It was a normal classroom, but we obviously needed the space, so it's not kitted out the same way as all the others because it's got some work to be done. They're going to build in cupboards around here and storage on the walls, but it just hasn't been done yet.
This is a nice little U-crack.
Yes, it was meant to be pigeonholes for head teachers when we opened in a convention centre, but during COVID the students had to stay in their classrooms and the teachers had to travel to them. So we commandeered it and no one's ever asked for it back. So it's now our ukulele trolley. It's perfect. So our grade 1s and 2s follow a strings programme and they're all learning the violin. And then our grade 4s are all working on a band programme, so saxophone, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, flute.
And what are these made out of? Do you know? Are they actually
It's Velcro.
Oh, the Velcro ones, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain. It came off Amazon, and yeah, just Velcro,
Yeah.
so you can move them around. So this used to be our office. It was actually intentionally a storeroom, but it's got no aircon, so we didn't want to store everything in here. But we've moved our office, and now this is a little band room, storage, a bit of everything.
Oh, that's actually quite a good sized space for a little band.
Yes, because in our practice rooms you can't have more than 2 kids in a room, so if anyone wants a band practice, it's very hard to let them in. It gets a bit echoey because there's no carpet on the floor, but we've just put an electric kit in rather than an acoustic kit, so it's not too bad.
Nice little view as well.
Yep. So we actually go up to 8 floors,
Yeah, right.
and we're here on the 5th floor.
Which is a bit of a thing in Singapore, right? Like space.
We've got a very small site, especially compared to the other international schools, so we've just gone straight up, basically. So this is our music tech room with a whole suite of Macs and computers. This was supposed to be the office, but we had our journey of offices, and this is now our music storeroom, which is a typical storeroom of literally everything we could possibly have. But we've managed to manipulate the storage a bit and set up a bit of a band room, so that when we do our Battle of the Bands unit with grade 8s, we've got 4 rooms where we can have 4 separate bands working. This is predominantly a secondary music classroom. It's a really nice room actually, big space, lots of light, lots of possibilities. No desks. It's generally grade 6, 7 and 8 that work in here, and we've got clipboards if we need them to do any writing. So I'm very reluctant to put desks in that would then take up space and make it not as useful for everything else. And we've got 3 little band setups, and this is where our Roland. We've got 3 Roland hubs, but only 1 is set up at the moment. But this is where they work in a classroom.
It's a little Roland hub.
Yeah, it's sitting there, but I haven't set it up yet for use. It's ready to happen, so we're just starting our Battle of the Bands unit. These are our guzhengs. The grade 7s do a Chinese music unit, and they learn, they get them out, they set them up. We've got all the stands living in this. We've got all these cupboards, which is great, and all the guzheng stands are living in these cupboards.
Okay.
And when we do the guzhengs, we actually flip the classroom sideways, and there is enough room to have 24 students, 2 to a guzheng. The entire room becomes a guzheng ensemble room. And it's really cool, practical, hands-on experience learning about these beautiful instruments and putting an ensemble together. Got our ukuleles living here. The only thing that annoys me is the doors, and I can't make a decision whether to just get rid of the doors and have it all open, or if one day I'd regret having no doors because it's useful display space and putting stuff up once we get to a stage that we've got that much stuff to display. Because we're a new school, we're still trying to decide. It's quite a drastic decision to make, is take all the cupboard doors off.
It is.
But these are our West
nice
African drums. Yeah, we've got full class set of dundons and djembes. Don't know if they're...
Nice to see a school with something other than djembes.
Yeah, well, we've got a really good bunch of, we've got shekaries, some other instruments, samba stuff. We've got 15 Surdus that are actually living in a different room because they need some repair work, but we've got our kaishas, shakers. When we do our samba unit, they learn about the instruments, they learn where it lives, and we just open this door and they just know, okay, you're getting tambourines, okay, this is what we're getting. They just know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that we've got this cupboard to keep it tidy and efficient.
So there's definitely a nice bit of a focus on samba.
I would always do a samba unit, but it might not be the main focus of a school. It's simply because of the way we've opened and COVID that samba was the most practical thing that we could still do with all of our restrictions. And so every student in the school has had a samba experience, because at one point it's what everyone was doing, and now it's only grade 6 that do it, and then we have a samba house competition and it's one unit. But these are the remnants of that samba focus. You can see that other units are starting to come to light. We are starting to have other stuff happening as well, but the samba stuff really was our first thing.
And you were saying the kids just really love it.
Yeah, they do, especially with younger teenagers. It's a real confidence builder because it's so accessible, but at the same time there are some quite challenging rhythms and ways to push people and for them to be creative, and it's high energy, and at the same time in their process journals they learn about like the origins of samba and the social work it does in favelas, and the thing it does for relationships in Brazil and carnival and things like that. These were originally in the storeroom that I showed you, but we wanted to make a space for a band to work in, and actually we were finding, as you've already seen, that kids are leaving their instruments just all over the corridors and it's tripping everyone up. So we put these 2 shelves here. The staff sometimes store stuff, so we've got our foldable music stands living up here, but actually these all belong to students. They just come in, they can leave them in here, and it's great if they haven't got space in their lockers for their instruments, and that's where the orchestra usually happens, in that room as well, so it's kind of instant access, it's out of the way.
And these are simple kind of...
just metal shelves.
Metal shelving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're quite like, security isn't an issue in Singapore, but if it was, we've got CCTV just here, so that's what we say to the kids, like, it's safe, you just leave your instrument there, there's a camera watching it. The studio.
Okay.
But it's also a storeroom, I'm just going to warn you. Double doored, it's actually the only definitely soundproofed room we've got. Everything else is supposedly soundproof, but not really. All of our Surdus are waiting for some work, but they usually nest inside each other, so they don't take up a ridiculous amount of space. Again, we've got another band set up, which is useful for bands, and our jazz band rehearses in here. And then this is our studio stuff. We literally store everything in here that's a bit more precious or related to needing like studio things, microphones, cables, all of that.
So this control room connects directly to the other room on the other side. Noticing like IKEA sort of shelving seems to work pretty well. We
actually want a bit more of that shelving. I think it would be quite useful to have it all along the walls and get rid of these some of these drawer things. One thing that we are really pleased about is we've got a few trolleys. We just multi-purpose trolleys. You can have them small or they stretch out really open, and they're really useful for moving amps around for Battle of the Bands, things like that.
So this is On Stage, the brand.
So this is our ensemble room. It's called that because we practice our orchestras in here. It's one of our biggest rooms, but it's also a junior music teaching room. So you'll see it's set up with the spots on the floor again.
Oh, I like these big drums.
Yeah, we've got a full class set of Chinese drums, including the flower pot drums and the war drums, which is, they do half of their Chinese music unit doing drumming and half of it with the guzhengs, which is really cool. And we've got more of these cupboards, which is where the the rest of it and the stands, they all live.
So the school's 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years old, but actually only 2.5 years on this site, and only really 2 years in the music department, because this was opened last, one of the last spaces.
And we can see back through to the studio control room where we were before.
And this is it. It's our main performance space and our biggest one. Tiered seating that does go back if we want a big-ish stage. It just doesn't have any more depth than what you see. It's very limited backstage, so we have to be quite clever when we've got big groups of kids coming on. They have to come on from the wings. We've also
so we've got this wing space here, but that's as far as it goes, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is solid, but...
The curtains do close and open, so we can make it more backstage space, but then you sacrifice the actual stage space. We've actually, behind this curtain, we've got a big grand piano. I don't know if I showed you that earlier. It's tucked down here.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's got it's permanently plugged in. It's got its own fan and system to keep it okay. It gets wheeled onto the stage whenever we've got a show.
So is that due to humidity and heat?
Yeah. It's all of our pianos have suffered with the environment, to be honest. That's the only one because it's got its own environment plugged in. All of our choir risers. They usually live in the car park, but they're currently here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.